welcome back. We're going to have a great time as we conclude this particular session. Somebody said this person, but you see humor like this. Okay, guys. Okay. Yeah, welcome back. Pastor Paju will soon join us for the next 15 to 17 minutes. I want to encourage you not to miss the remaining part of this session, of course, as we are in it. And then the next session, Kunle Shoriyo, Mind Shift. We will be learning a lot about change. Change is a serious matter, and Kunle Shoriyo will be tearing it up, exponentially, as it were, for us to see unusual, to get unusual ideas on how to manage change that is happening right now.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, before Pastor Poju comes up, now these two books helped me a lot during this lockdown, and that's why I'm eager when it comes to Love Walk. Love the Way to Victory by Kenneth Hagin. I think you should read it every year. This helped me a lot during this lockdown. You should read it, get it out. It's awesome about walking in love. It will help you if you're a pastor, if you're a Christian. And then Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, Spencer Johnson. It's a very simple book, a story about change.
Who moved my church?
It has been moved. Okay, Pastor Poju, we have 15 minutes. So crown it up and then we pray. It's been awesome. People have joined back. Yeah.
All right, quickly. So this gentleman, I said, many will be offended. The Bible says false prophets will arise.
Yeah.
A prophet is a seer, and people start seeing things that are wrong. So I think it's very, very important. Let me just say this story, my own personal story. I think it will help people, because sometimes people just see you and they don't know where you are coming from. So let me just tell the story of my own round of work. And I believe that outside even this divine direction, which people will call the hallmark, which is you are doing what you're supposed to do under the instruction of God, is hinged on love, because the Bible says that if a man hates his brother, he's blinded.
Sorry, sir. I think people are saying there's no sound. If you can hear us, let us know. If you can hear, I can hear.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear?
Okay. Okay. Somebody should just, okay, I can see thumbs up. You can hear?
Loud and clear. They said they can hear loud and clear. All right.
Okay, let's proceed, sir. Okay.
All right. So, yeah. So, I'm saying that it's very important that people stay free, all right, and they respond correctly to what properly inside their hearts. What Jesus tells us, he said, now I just want to quickly read this. It says, but I say to you that here, love your enemies, do good to them that hate you, do good to them that hate you, bless them that curse you. I know we don't like this one in Nigeria, all right? Pray for them that despitefully use you, and unto him that smiteth thee in the cheek offer. Then he says, give to every man that asketh, and of him that taketh away thy goods, he says, ask them not. As you would that men should do unto you, do ye also unto them. For if you love them that love you, what thank have thee? For sinners love them that love. And then at the end, he says, whosoever cometh unto me and heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them. And I'm saying that these sayings here is the love of God that's operating inside our heart. I mean, Bishop Keith Butler tells a very powerful story, and I'll just use this story and then I'll just share something very powerful love story here.
No, but you wanted to share your story, so your own personal story.
Yes, I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm going to. So a very powerful story. From just might help people. Let me just say this one here. So when I was in school, I became a president of a fellowship. But before I became president, the fellowship was established by somebody, and basically he just took likeness to me. You know, he and the person he got married to. All right, they just liked and everything, and you know, he just felt, I feel you have a call of God on your life. So what happened was, well, you know, he was so particular about what he was saying that he said something to me. When they were going to choose the next set of executives, I just got born again then, and they were going to choose the next set of executives. People began to say, no, this guy just got saved 3 months, 4 months, and you are saying you should come into the executive. There are people that have been here. So this chap said to them, he said, I started this fellowship, and I have the right to choose the next leader of the fellowship. I sacrifice that right that I have and give it to you people to select the president and the 2 vice presidents. All I ask is, give me 1 slot in the executive, because I believe the hand of God is on this person, and bring him in. So with that, they left him. He brought me. When he was leaving the country, he told me, he said, no matter what happens, he said, stay inside this fellowship no matter how you are treated. He said, because as far as I'm concerned from heaven, the future of this work is in your hands.
Wow.
He said, you see all these other people? I don't. He said, don't go. Of course, I mean, I was young, there were politics, okay. So at one point, we just decided that let there be no strife. So I resigned.
Wow.
From the executive. And at that time, as a member of the executive, when they divided the teaching, of course, I didn't know, if I knew this now, if I had the skill I had now, I won't agree. But they gave me majority of the teaching of the fellowship above the president, which could never, I mean, even if they offered me, I should have said, no, you will take it. That anytime he's tired, I will just teach. Yeah. But as a young person, I was excited. So of course, that caused a lot of problem. So I left the fellowship. And it was during that period that I now discovered Bishop Oyedepo and Bishop Idahosa. I started going around. So what happened was, one of the meetings I went to in Benin City, he just said, so and so, I won't call the person's name because some people are very old minister. He said, you get up. I didn't even know who he was in the crowd. The man got up. He said, now I want to tell you people something. His wife just snatched him and said, stop. So he just turned to his wife and said, with boldness, if you don't want me to teach the people and tell them where I came from, you can leave the meeting. But I must tell these people the truth about ministry. So Bishop Oyedepo was sitting beside his wife. We were all in congregation looking. And I think he asked her what was going on. She whispered something to him. So he signaled to him too, that don't say this thing. So he told us a story. Maybe he piped it down. In that story, he talked about how he bought his first car. I want to say something. And how this minister came and took the car from him because he was a small preacher. And he was deprived of it and everything. So he now talked about how this minister ran into trouble in America and he helped him out in America. So he said, never repay evil for evil in your life. And then continue. Now, so you know what happened? I came back to Lagos excited. By this time, this president of the fellowship who had traveled had come back to Nigeria for holiday and just to look at what was going on in the fellowship. So I told him the story. This was in 1989. Do you know, he said, when I told him the story, he said, all right, I'm taking you into the executive meeting and I want us to settle what is going on here once and for all. So we entered the executive meeting, U318 Mariri Hall. He sat everybody down, 1989. He said, I believe that story is prophetic.
Wow.
He said, what the Archbishop did is also going to happen in this ministry. He said, you see all of us seated here, this is 1989. He said, the person that God is going to pick out of the midst of us and go public first is going to be him. He now told them, he said, the decision whether the world will know whether we will be ministers of God and hear us will be based on whether he gives us a platform to preach or not. He says, so when you people are making this decision, this is what I think is going to happen from the story that he told. So they left that meeting. I didn't forget. But nothing changed. Of course, we know the story, as you say. I remember in Mr. Coming Fellowship. So one day I was praying in the sports center, praying. And while I was praying, I'd come back to the fellowship because one day I went for church service in Winners, and this was a midweek service, so we were not more than 100. Bishop said, in this country, as far as we know, whoever breaks away in ministry will continue to break. So that word just entered me like it was meant for me. So I said, I'm going back to this fellowship to reconcile. Yeah. I can't go out. After I have done it for 1 year, I will leave. So I went back. When I got back, a chap walked up to me and said, welcome, I can see you're coming to this church for the first time. You're a new believer. This is a new believers class. If you can register here for the new believers class. I looked at him. That months ago I was the one teaching. And all of that. Teaching. But I humbled myself. I took everything. So one day God told me, said, look, I want you to go and do something. You know, we are always one instruction away from a breakthrough. And many times that instruction is an instruction in love that we are resisting. Because God taught Job wisdom, that with everything that happened around you, I will give you the one instruction that will change your life. He said, go and pray for your friends. And his captivity was turned around. God told me, he said, you see these people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that felt have offended you. Now, I believe some people will need this. That's why I'm saying it. He said, pray for each one of them. Call them by name, and the blessing that you know, if it comes upon their life, it will make it look like they won and you lost. Pray that blessing upon them. So I interceded and I prayed that blessing upon each person. It didn't take 2 weeks, about 3 weeks. They were handing over leadership in the fellowship. And of course, I was not even part of the equation. So there was still some politics within. So they handed it over to somebody who was also the founding vice president of the fellowship. The guy just called me. He said, they handed him over, he became president. After 1 week, his company just said, you are going to work in Chicago.
Wow.
And then he had to leave. So he called me, told me inside the car park. He said, I said, yes. He said, by all means, you are the president of the fellowship now. But because of the way the fellowship is, I can't go and tell them that you are the president. So it's left to you to go and tell them you are president. And he went to the airport, boarded, and went to Chicago. So I had to go into the fellowship to announce to them that I had been made the new president. This is how it was. But from that day, November 23rd, 1990, till today, except I decide I'm not preaching, The door for ministry has always been opened from that day till today.
Wow.
And it was a step of obedience. If I did not do it, I'll not be in ministry.
I'm not sure we're having this conversation if you did not do it, sir. I think this is awesome in terms of it's more than just forgiveness. It's an instruction away from breakthrough, and it has to do with people sorting out things, and it's love work. It's sacrificial, but it pays. I think that's what happened to Joseph eventually. I think that's what happened to Joseph. If he didn't sort that out, he would never have become the prime minister.
It will never happen. That's why when those people came, when they came to meet him,
he said
he had resolved.
Yeah, he said you meant it for evil, but it's like you are by fertilizer.
God, and that's what I'm saying. The healing doesn't come because you forget. The healing comes when God recompenses you.
Yes.
So when Joseph became prime minister and they came to meet him, he was healed already.
Yes.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. It was okay. He was saying, guys, you mean you want me to go back? So when God recompenses, and that's what we don't see. When we release it, then you turn to God. And God comforts you by bringing something into your life that just blows you away.
Amen. Wow.
That you just look at it, just tell yourself. So we are missing that. And that's where Jesus said, judge not, condemn not,
yes.
and all right. And a lot of, I know people fight these days, we say that we are fighting for our rights, but we have to make sure that we put things in God's hands. He said, judge not, condemn not. He said, forgive. Then he said, give, and it shall be given. It's when they give back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, that you are completely healed of that.
Thank you,
just
sir.
Look at it.
Thank you, sir.
And when they tell you,
wow, we're gonna go now. I don't know how to interpret that in English. It's small thing they tell a responsible person, and that small thing will become full inside the person. A lot has been said already in terms of mercy, in terms of forgiveness. We have to change our attitude towards Nigeria. Let me just summarize it like that. The way we respond to the various parts of the nation, some parts of the nation, some issues in the nation, our focus on curses is not helping the body of Christ. Jesus is waiting on us. Thank you, Pastor Kweju. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you. Wow, this is too good. Wow. Well, guys, we're going to go now. Thanks for joining. Don't miss 5:30. We'll be having Kule Shorion. He's a man of many sides, but one thing I like about him is he's a futurist. People that see the future, they're very scarce. I'm telling you, it's like a brain box. I want to encourage you to join us back by 5:30. Kule Shorion will be on. We all need to hear from those who have seen the future now. Very, very important. And we'll give us some more details. So we're going to go on a break now. 5:30, Kule Shorion will be on. And then by 7:45, we have Odion Igalo from Manchester United, from Manchester, United Kingdom. That's 7:45. So, don't miss all these amazing things. The future is brighter than the past. So see you by 5:30. 5:30.